Hello, welcome back to Let Us Seek the Lord. Today is August the 22nd, and we are looking at First Samuel chapter 14. It's a rather long chapter, so let's get to reading. And I might say that if you didn't get to see the BiblePlaces.com website yesterday to see the pictures of Michmash, you can still go see it today because today's location is the same spot. And I seeing a couple of those pictures there will really help you understand what Jonathan was doing when he's crawling up the cliffs. So let's read. Now it happened one day that Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to the young man who bore his armor, "Oh, let's go over to the Philistines' garrison that's on the other side." But he didn't tell his father. Saul was sitting in the outskirts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. And the people who were with him were about 600 men. Ahijah, the son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh, was wearing an ephod. But the people didn't know that Jonathan had gone. Between the passes by which Jonathan had sought to go over to the Philistines' garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side. The name of one was Bozez, and the name of the other was Sina. The front of one faced northward opposite Michmash, and the other southward opposite Gibeah. Then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come on, let's go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised, and it may be that the Lord will work for us. For nothing restrains the Lord from saving by many or by few." So his armor bearer said to him, "Do all that's in your heart. Go then. Here I am with you according to your heart." Then Jonathan said, "Very well, let's cross over to these men, and we will show ourselves to them. If they say thus to us, 'Wait until we come to you,' then we'll stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they say thus, 'Come up to us,' then we'll go up, for the Lord has delivered them into our hand, and this will be a sign to us." So both of them showed themselves to the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, "Oh, look, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they've hidden." Then the men of the garrison called to Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, "Come on up to us, and we'll show you something." Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come up after me, for the Lord has delivered them into the hand of Israel." And Jonathan climbed up up on his hands and knees with his armor bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan. As he came after them, his armor bearer killed them. That first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor bearer made was about 20 men within about half an acre of land. There was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. And the garrison and the raiders also trembled, and the earth quaked, so that it was a very great trembling. Now the watchmen of Saul and Gibeon of Benjamin looked, and there was the multitude melting away, and they went here and there. And then Saul said to the people who were with them, "Okay, now call roll and see who's gone out from us." And when they'd called the roll, surprisingly, Jonathan and his armor bearer were not there. And Saul said to Ahijah, "Bring the ark of God here." For at that time the ark of God was with the children of Israel. Now it happened while Saul talked to the priest that the noise which was in the camp of the Philistines continued to increase. So Saul said to the priest, "Withdraw your hand." Then Saul and all the people who were with him assembled, and they went to battle. And indeed, every man's sword was against his neighbor, and there was very great confusion. Moreover, the Hebrews who were with the Philistines before that time, who went up with them into the camp from the surrounding country, they also joined the Israelites who were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise, all the men of Israel who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, they also followed hard after them in battle. So the Lord saved Israel that day, and the battle shifted to Beth Aven. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had placed the people under oath, saying, Cursed is the man who eats any food until evening before I have taken vengeance on my enemies. So none of the people tasted food. Now all the people of the land came to a forest, and there was honey on the ground. And when the people had come to the woods, there was honey dripping. But no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard his father charge the people with the oath. Therefore, he stretched out the end of his rod that was in his hand. He dipped it in a honeycomb. He put his hand to his mouth, and his countenance brightened. And one of the people said, "Your father strictly charged the people with an oath, saying, 'Cursed is the man who eats food this day.'" And the people were faint. Jonathan said, "My father has troubled the land. Look now how my countenance is brightened because I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies, which they found. For now, would there not have been a much greater slaughter among the Philistines?" Now they had driven the Philistines back that day, back from Michmash to Ajalon. And so the people were very faint. And the people rushed upon the spoil. They took sheep, oxen, and calves, slaughtered them on the ground, and the people ate them with the blood still in it. Then they told Saul, saying, "Look, the people are sinning against the Lord by eating with the blood still in it." So he said, "You have dealt treacherously. Roll a large stone to me this day." And Saul said, "Disperse yourselves among the people and say to them, 'Bring me here every man's ox, every man's sheep. Slaughter them here and eat, and do not sin against the Lord by eating with the blood.'" So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night and slaughtered it there. Saul built an altar to the Lord, and this was the first altar that he built to the Lord. Now Saul said, "Let's go down to the Philistines by night and plunder them until morning light. And let us not leave a man of them." And they said, "Do whatever seems good to you." And the priest said, "Let's draw near to God here." So Saul asked counsel of God, "Shall I go down to the Philistines? Will you deliver them into the hand of Israel?" But God did not answer him that day. And Saul said, "Come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. For as the Lord lives, who saves Israel, though it be Jonathan my son, he shall surely die." But not a man among all the people answered him. Then he said to all Israel, "You be on one side, my son Jonathan and I will be on the other side." And the people said to Saul, "Do what seems good to you." Therefore Saul said to the Lord God of Israel, "Give a perfect lot." So Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, "Cast lots between my son Jonathan and me." So Jonathan was taken. And Saul said to Jonathan, "Tell me what you've done." Jonathan told him, he said, "I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand, so now I must die." Saul answered, "God do so and more also if you shall surely, for you shall surely die, Jonathan." But the people said to Saul, "Shall Jonathan die, who has accomplished this great deliverance in Israel? Certainly not. As the Lord lives, not one hair of his head shall fall to the ground, for he's worked with God this day." So the people rescued Jonathan, and he didn't die. Then Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul established his sovereignty over Israel, and he fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, against the people of Ammon, against Edom, against the kings of Zobah, against the Philistines. Wherever he turned, he harassed them. He gathered an army and attacked the Amalekites and delivered Israel from the hand of those who plundered them. The sons of Saul were Jonathan, Jeshui, Malchishui, and the names of his two daughters were these: the name of the firstborn, Merab, and the name of the second one, Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz, and the name of the commander of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. Kish was the father of Saul, Ner the father of Abner, who was the son of Abiel. Now there was a fierce war with the Philistines all the days of Saul, And when Saul saw any strong man or valiant man, he took him for himself. Sometimes a number of things will weigh on a person's heart down. No individual one of them were particularly insurmountable, but some total of them drains the energy out of one. I remember once when we lost a significant number of people in our church. At the same time, I was working through an audit with the IRS, and every time I gave an answer, they wanted more information. Also, at that time, I had a cousin with mental problems. One night, he called me and left a message threatening to have my backside thrown in jail and accused my wife of causing Social Security to deny him all his benefits. At the same time, at that time, I was a caregiver for my 91-year-old mother. Her house had a fire, which melted the plumbing, which put the fire out, but required lots of replumbing, and the roof sprang a leak. A sewer line had to be replaced. Several trees dropped limbs as a result of the previous 2 years of drought. At least 2 trees died and needed to be cut down. And my own house had issues. Limbs were dropping, the roof leaked, the water heater sprang a leak. The list could go on, but I'll stop here. There are just a lot of little things weighing my heart down. Then there are things that are done in the heat of passion, when the adrenaline is rushing, foolhardiness overwhelms us. Then there are things that are done in a cold, calculating manner, when it is determined that we can be successful. Then there are things that are not done, because the multitude of the little things against doing the right thing weigh the heart down, and the will becomes enmeshed in a shroud of negative thinking. Well, the children of Israel had a great victory over the Ammonites. Saul had galvanized the nation, and 300,000 men showed up in an adrenal rush of their new king, and they rescued Jabesh Gilead. But the farmers can't stay in the army forever. They return to their home, to their families, and their crops. So a year or two later, Saul only had a small standing army of 3,000 men, and Jonathan took his 1,000 and his youthful adrenaline, and he defeated the Philistine garrison, raising the ire of the Philistines. Unlike the Ammonite army, the Philistine army had technology on their side. They had 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, plus a huge number of soldiers. It overwhelmed the standing army of Israel. The citizens and much of the army had become afraid and begun to hide in the abundant caves of the mountains of Israel, and Saul's army was reduced from 3,000 down to 600. This wasn't just a multitude of little things, it was an overwhelming flood. Was Jonathan filled with the memories of Jabesh Gilead and the defeat of the Philistine garrison, or was he caught up in a youthful adrenaline and foolhardiness, or did he really believe that the Lord could and would deliver them from their oppressors? Whatever his true motivation, these are his words. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing restrains the Lord from saving, by many or by few. Wow. May his kin live forever. His words indicate that he knew the glory of the Lord. He and one other guy crossed the pass at Michmash, scaling the cliffs, while the Philistines watched and waited for them to come at the top. It was 20 against 2 plus the Lord. The 20 were mismatched, overwhelmed. In half an acre of land, Jonathan and his armor bearer brought the Philistines to their final meeting with the Lord, and it began a rout. The Lord used Jonathan's victory to cause fear to spread through the Philistine camp, and the army began to melt away in fear. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Saul called a priest with an ephod to determine from the Lord whether or not he should attack the Philistines. Before the priest could toss the Urim and the Thummim, the noise of the retreating army reached Saul's ears. Always a man of action over waiting upon the Lord, Saul commanded the priest to withdraw his hand, and he immediately set out to join the rout. He gave a rash oath designed to motivate the troops. Oh, excuse me a second, my screen went blank. Oh, where am I? He gave a rash oath designed to motivate the troops to victory, but it led to sin against the Lord. When victory was assured in the evening, He took time to seek the Lord concerning the wisdom of pursuing the Philistines into the night. The Lord wouldn't answer him. One gets the impression that Saul seemed more concerned about weighing his various options rather than his concern for what the Lord really wanted. As A.W. Tozer once put it, the Lord tells the man who cares. Saul had demonstrated a lack of wholehearted devotion to seeking the Lord. This little devotion led to him placing requirements upon his army, which led to sin. Their hearts and passions were revealed by ravenous eating of meat that had not been properly bled. Their hearts were found lacking. On the other hand, Jonathan helped himself to some clean food. A little honey from the honeycomb allowed him the right energy that was needed in the midst of the battle. Jonathan would not allow the overwhelming flood of the Philistine army to shroud the glory of the Lord. Saul let the problems fog his sight. His vision was set upon the problems. You and I are faced daily with the same choice. Which path will you follow? Which path will I follow? I choose the glory of the Lord. See, indeed, we do serve a glorious King. So speak his glory to someone today.